Jay here from Stretford Paddock. This is the Paddock podcast, and joining me are two absolute titans of the Manchester United fan base. We've got Mr. Joe Smith.
On the rest, mate.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, beautiful. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm basking in the glory of a 2-1 win at Kenilworth Road, which incidentally is a good result. That's a great result. That's a great result. Let me laugh,
Ronaldo,
as they would say before you jump in. Is a good result, and is a result that basically any club that's in a title race has either equalled or not done as well as. They've either beaten by 1 goal or not beaten.
Why have you said "let me land"? By the way,
I'm
still stuck on that.
No,
as in, I'm stuck on that. I'm stuck on that term from you. That's.
I'm a filthy fella.
It's a filthy fella thing.
Yeah,
I knew there was a link.
Lippy loves saying it. In fact, his podcast is called it as well.
Man. Almost made your plane crash.
Almost here. Almost. Also here is Ronaldo Brown, fresh from causing mischief on the Bird app, as you used to say. X.
I don't cause
you cause a little bit.
I don't cause mischief.
I feel like you.
I get a lot of
troll, but you like to generate a few discussions.
Yeah,
during
you're
the
not
game.
a troll, but if you look up, there is a bridge over your head.
Yeah, I like saying things on Twitter to see what people that follow what their opinions will be. I don't always reply.
Are you one of these people who I'm not a troll? I just consider myself a disruptor. Yeah. Actually,
I wouldn't say I'm a disruptor.
Here to sort of shine a light on social norms.
If I'm going to actually be honest.
Yes.
I tweet exactly what I'm thinking at the time, and I don't really have any sort of
You do tweet
meaning behind it.
When you tweet,
do you know what I mean?
I read that tweet in your voice, and it does sound like the things you say to me when we're chatting.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think you say anything outlandish. I've yet to see something where I've gone, that's
You're
crazy.
Being a dick.
Everything you say, even if I'm not 100% on board with some of them, I might go, I get his point.
What has he said today then? What have you said today?
No,
what is the thing that's stirring people?
The tweet that Jay's referring to is me talking about the performances of late from Bruno.
Okay.
And how his form has started to kind of dwindle in the recent months. But then I gave some sort of reason for it, because I'm a fan of Bruno. It's hard not to be for what he's done for Manchester United the last couple of years. And I know it's sometimes recency bias can get in the way of things, but a lot has gone wrong over the past few years at United, and Bruno Fernandes has not been one of them. But in recent times, I'd say in the last couple of months, I think his form has started to fall off the cliff a little bit, and it's becoming a consistent thing. But it's also a situation where I feel like he's a very, very energetic, high intensity. You've obviously seen the heat map kind of metrics on the amount of distance he covers more than any United player. And he's been like that ever since he's arrived. But also, he's never, ever injured. And he's always available. He's always durable. And we've never actually had a replacement for him or an alternate player for him. And I think that the tweet that I basically said was his 90 minutes that he's been accumulating over the course of the last 18 months. I don't know whether they're starting to take the toll on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you can be a victim of your own success. Bruno was like a goal and assist machine. He's still someone that's extremely high up when it comes to key passes, chances created. That's him in a nutshell. And I think because we've not even really been able to give him a rest or have someone kind of take that burden of creating opportunities and scoring off him, I think he's starting to fade a little bit. And I don't know whether it could be just a temporary thing, but I think I'm concerned about him starting to burn out a little. And I thought that was one of the main reasons why we got Mason Mount in the summer.
Probably was.
And I think Mason Mount's injury or Mason Mount's inclusion could have alleviated that off Bruno a little bit this season. But without how desperate United have been for results every game and the amount of games we play in, and Bruno being one of our most important players, obviously he's a captain, and not being able to give him a rest when his form's not quite there or he's looking a bit jaded and he's having to, especially when we were playing 3 games a week for that consistent period and he's playing 90s in each one. I'm just worried about him slightly burning out, and his form recently I think has been representative of that.
It feels like people think the only indicator that someone is tired or knackered or not right to play is if they're injured or if there's a muscle injury or a strain or whatever. People don't ever consider, or it seems like you very rarely hear people consider this guy's knackered and he's not injured, he can play, he can be out there, he's not going to pull his hamstring by being out there, but you're not going to get the best out of him because he's, like you said, playing on average a game of football every 5 days for the last 5 years. I think he's played something like 70 odd games of football a year.
It's mad because
every year in like Bruno's 5 years in a row.
Since Bruno's arrived, we've got to the semi-finals of competitions, the finals of competitions consistently. Even under Wally, we got to Europa League semi-finals, Europa League final, Carabao Cup, FA Cup finals.
Yeah.
Like there was always a long cup run under Wally. That continued under Ten Hag. I know under Rangnick it didn't. But under Ten Hag, we've seen this thing where we got to. I think we could have only played 3 more games last season. I think the semi-finals and the final of the Europa League. Other than that, we played the maximum amount of games. And he played in a World Cup in the middle of it, playing every game, I think, bar one for Portugal. Then this season, again, he plays like you say, Ronnie, as well. It's not just the fact he plays every game. He plays usually the full 90 minutes or the full 97 minutes or whatever it is. He seldom gets substituted.
You're looking at a sort of anywhere between 97 and 105 minutes every game now.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at like 5 minutes stoppage time at half time, 5, 6, 7 minutes at full time.
Yeah.
It's like 100 minutes every week, if not more. Like it is too much. And
especially the way we play. Do you know what I mean? We don't really control games. Games are very like transitional. It's very almost chaotic and like a bit almost ping pongy, I'll call it, when United play games. And that's going to take a toll on players as well. I don't know if that kind of can be attributed to some of the injuries that United get in terms of muscle injuries. Obviously, we train very hard, apparently, under the Ten Hag regime. And then you've got games where it's very much like a basketball game in terms of the amount of running that you're doing. And one thing that I think I often say it to you, when players run a lot and you do get a little bit fatigued and jaded, it can affect some of your decision making and also in terms of some of your concentration when you like doing technical actions or you know when you, because how often do you see someone do like a really long like a huge lung busting run and then when he gets to the final bit where it's like a cross or a pass or a shot, it's quite poor,
or they fall over or they scuff it or they're reaching for it.
It's just because when you've gotten a little bit tired or a little bit jaded, it can affect like your ability to execute those things.
Well, there's a reason why if a player's
level.
got a penalty, they don't start the run up from their own 18-yard line, do they? Because
by the time you get there, imagine exactly
like that, you know, and that sort of shows itself when you see like crosses, people slipping over or kicking it into the other foot and all that sort of stuff. Can I just give you a few stats on the point you've just made about how United's games are this sort of ping-pongy affair of, you know, you have a go, we have a go, sort of basketball
Just before
stuff.
you give stats as well, can I just say, everyone get involved in the comments in the chat. I want to hear what everyone has to say, what you think about obviously what Ronnie said and what we've said as well. Sorry, bro,
because there's been this sort of suggestion that this form isn't sustainable. United have unbeaten in their last 7 and have won 6 of those games and obviously drew the other one. And yet, after almost all of the games, we've been sat here either on the podcast or on the reviews immediately post-match, sort of brushing sweat off our foreheads like we're lucky to get away with one there, or that wasn't a great performance from United there, or whatever. And people are sort of starting to say that this form is almost like basically
papering
over the cracks. And the only real difference is Højlund started scoring. Like actually, United aren't playing much better, but what they're doing is their striker is now scoring where none of the front three was scoring before. So here's a couple of stats to sort of that would almost back that up. So since this season, since the start of the season, United have conceded 20 shots or more 8 times in 8 different games. Since Liverpool and hired Klopp in 2015, they've conceded 20 shots or more twice in 7 years or 8 years. Like, we've done it 8 times this season. And apparently those 2 times where Liverpool conceded 20 shots or more, they were down to 10 men in both games. So this thing of like, I think we conceded 67 shots in our last 3 games. 22 against Luton, 22 against Villa, 23 against Villa, 22 against West Ham. Like, that is a lot. And I know that, you know, you look at Luton's XG in the game yesterday, and United's was far better, and it was only like 1.5 or something like that. But 22 shots is a lot for a team that is 6th. We're not shit. And yet Onana's made, I think, the 3rd most saves in the league this season. United, obviously conceding this amount of shots is unusual for a team in our position. Why is that happening, do you think? What is going on there?
We've talked about it time and time again. It's the structural problems and it's almost our way of playing that invites that. And we are going to beat teams like Luton, even like a West Ham or some of these lower teams playing this way because like shown yesterday, we just have that extra bit of quality, which can end up getting you, especially when it comes to players that are probably a little bit more suited to playing on in transition, like Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford, and even Bruno. But in terms of its long-term sustainability to winning things, I don't think it is sustainable at all. And that's probably the reason why United have won 5 games in a row. But for some reason, we're sitting here feeling we can be positive about it, but how positive can we be about it? Because it feels like every game's been a little bit... Because results right now are so important. Like, we need these wins. We need these. We need to finish in top 4. It's going to obviously help us going forward, etc. So you can't ever downplay a victory or downplay a win. But in terms of the way that we're playing, and you're talking about the sustainability of it, I don't think it is. Because when you're looking at the teams that are up at the top end of Europe or the league as it stands now, in terms of like Arsenal, a City, they don't play that way, and it seems to be. That's not how you win things nowadays. It's almost all about this controlling the game, and because if you do control the game, you've got majority of the possession, you've got the ball, and you've got like obviously a rest defence that's well structured and well drilled, where people can't get these high XG chances, they can't get these shots on your goal, then you're not going to lose games, are you? And I think there's a little bit too much variance in United's games. It's almost like I think we can play a team next week with a similar type of match and we end up losing the game 3-0, but it's hard to be completely negative about a 5-game win streak, though. But I think there are reasons to still be a little bit sceptical about the way we're doing it in terms of how it's gonna look like long term.
I hear you. Do you know what I think? Like, just maybe to play devil's advocate a little bit, we do need to give maybe these players in Ten Hag a bit of credit. Like, Villa Park's not an easy ground to go to. I know they've had a couple of recently bad results, but we won there.
Yeah. We
went to a ground where, you know, they up until recently, their record there was, I think, the best it's ever been for them in the Premier League, and we beat them. Kenilworth Road, I've just mentioned, a lot of teams have struggled at Kenilworth Road. Like, Liverpool, I think, they draw there. City, I think, won by 1 goal. Arsenal won by 1 goal, which
Tottenham
I think
won by 1 goal.
Was a late winner. Tottenham won by 1 goal. So again, people go looting around at the bottom of the table. They are a team that at that ground get results and make you work hard for results. Also, as well, for United, we're scoring goals, which has always been an issue. Plus, we've still got this merry-go-round going on at defence. Like, yesterday, Luke Shaw starts, he goes off at half-time. Victor Lindelof, who's not a left-back, comes in at left-back. Then you've got to bring Johnny Evans in as well because Harry Maguire's injured. Harry Maguire doesn't even start if everyone's fit, by the way. You're already missing Lisandro Martinez. So I do feel like, whilst I'm not excusing some of these performances, because I've sat here with you guys, or been at the ground or whatever, and felt it and been like, oh my God, we're making hard work of this. I do feel like you have to give some sort of leeway in the terms of the results we're getting and the players that we're missing. Like Martinez is a big miss. And plus other little things that you look at and go, I don't hate using the word luck, but it's slightly unfortunate at times. Like Casemiro gets that booking, that kind of took him out of the game a little bit. So you've got to adjust things there. Then Harry Maguire as well, he gets a booking. Again, it's dodgy, so you've got to take him out. I feel like it's not perhaps as bad as some are making out, whilst there are concerns and it's not easy to watch. I think we have to do you think we've got some good results and we're missing a lot of players.
Yeah, but do you think it's sustainable though?
No, but I think things will get easier for me when we start getting some of these players back.
But we've had a couple of games where they've been back where we still haven't had. It's still not been obvious that there's been a huge difference in that.
It's like this merry-go-round. I think when you say we've had a couple, that's it. We've had 2 games perhaps where we've had a team where you go, that's our team. So it takes you a couple of games usually to get into your rhythm, and then it's like more changes. Because I think if we were to have, I'm not excusing, I'm just saying, if we were to have sort of, Martinez comes back, I think he's got another 6 weeks out. If he comes back and we can get him in a run in the team, get a settled back 4, because Varane I think is playing quite well. Delo's playing well. Sure, obviously you've got issues there, but if we can try and get a bit of a settled back 4, that could help. If we can try and get a bit more than 45 minutes here or 60 minutes here with the midfield 3 that we've had, and that front 3 who incidentally have won 7 out of 7 when they played together, then I think there's a chance this sort of sustainability you keep saying, it can happen, it can move forward.
The team yesterday,
the way it is at the minute though, it's very disjointed, and I think a lot of it is because you're having to keep chopping and changing things.
The team yesterday though, only Martinez is the one that gets into the starting 11 that wasn't available though.
Yeah, but then you change it at half time, don't you, for Luke Shaw? You change it as well at half time for Casemiro, which is 2 big changes for me. That's 2 for me. That's the three of the best players we've had under Erik ten Hag have been Casemiro, Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez. 3, not the ultimate, but 3 of the best players. And then you end the game missing all 3 of them.
But
and also the second half, you're missing all 3.
Even including that, though, it's very difficult to stomach having 40% possession.
It's hard, and I'm not completely excusing it. I'm just saying I feel that when we do get everyone back, it could be a different story.
Can I give you a few stats that sort of explain why I think you're sort of both right. Like some of the mad, incongruous stats of Manchester United this season. We've only scored one more goal than Luton, who are
I'm not excusing that. That's terrible.
We have a goal difference of 1.
Again,
right?
I'm not going to excuse any of that. It's
and
awful.
yet, at the same time, only David Raya and Jordan Pickford have got more clean sheets than Andre Onana this season.
It's been it,
Right? There's more. Manchester United, obviously, we're 6th. We have got by far the best, once again, as we did last season, by far the best goals scored to points gained ratio in the league by an absolute mile. We're the only team who are outpointing our goals scored by any real significant margin this season. We've scored 35 goals and got 44 points, which means defensively we're good. And yet, obviously, we see these results where, like you said, it feels like we're going to concede 2 and 3 every game. A 2-goal lead is never safe, all of this. Well, we've conceded less than Tottenham. We've conceded less goals than everyone underneath us in the league. Like, it feels like we concede loads and we barely score. And yet, like I said, only Villa, City, Arsenal and Liverpool have conceded fewer goals than us this season. Like, we're a bizarre sort of combination of things. And in those 67 shots that we conceded in the last 3 games, we conceded 2 goals. So it's not as though, like, we allow chances, but I don't even know. I don't get it. United are a bizarre mix of, like, defensively bad, but also defensively good.
Isn't that part of the problem?
But also actually scoring goals.
You don't know what we are.
No, I know.
That's part of the problem. United don't know.
I do get
Paul
that.
Scholes even said it.
I don't get. And like one of the games that for me probably the most frustrating out of the games we mentioned, like Luton I can almost stomach, Villa I can stomach. West Ham, I don't really think. I know we conceded a lot of shots, but we won comfortably in the end. The one that I won't defend was the Wolves game. Was a tough watch because that was literally we just fell apart.
Because the first half
just literally went, have some goals.
The first half was the best we've been all season
to get you out of jail, which I thought was almost inexcusable. It was great that he did it, and we all went berserk, and I love him. But it's like
great
that
for the
one.
Storyline,
yeah, but like that was like, what are you doing? So. I'm slightly playing devil's advocate because I've hated some of these games actually being out, like actually sitting here watching it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there are sort of.
But on what you're saying about because the victories and like ain't what you're saying. So usually we win 5 games in a row, like you said. We've just come off a win yesterday away at a difficult place. I feel like if you've got anything to say in terms of regards to our performance and our long-term sustainability, a lot of people come out and just be like, or you're negative, or being this, we won the game, it doesn't matter. But people kind of actually as being like toxic, the negativity side of it. But I think it can be the opposite. I think toxic positivity can be a thing. Do you know what I mean? When you are too short-sighted, when you are thinking just solely about the fact that you've won the game and not how you've done it or not how it's going to look further on in the future. Because to me, you know what I'm like when it comes to United game. I used to can't even watch-alongs if United are losing. To be honest, you're not even want to get me on. It means.
Him and McCullough's the worst combination if United lose. So you may as well just not have one.
Do you know what I mean?
But neither of them are saying anything.
It basically shapes the rest of my week whether United win a game or not. So winning is important, but at the same time, you've got to look at it as is the way that United are doing it sustainable, or are we basically going to sleepwalk towards the same way we have a 5-win win streak, we'll go 5 games without winning one because there's too much kind of variance in the games.
And it's like,
but on that then, do you think that Ten Hag is looking at it going, this is how I want to play, we're set?
Because I kind of think it's intentional though.
But when I look at Ten Hag, right, his last season at Ajax, and I know the league is different, etc., etc., they scored 98 goals and conceded 19. That is phenomenal at both ends of the spectrum. Defensively, by far the best in the league. I think no one got within 15, 16 goals of them, and over 10 goals more scored than the team who finished second, which was PSV. He's not a manager who likes having a goal difference of 0. Obviously, no manager does. But this idea that we're bang average defensively and very poor in terms of goal scoring isn't what he's sort of established over his career. He's not a manager that's played like this before. Do you think that he's trying to play like this? He's decided, what United fans want is this sort of exciting football, and by exciting, he thinks we mean letting the opposition have loads of chances.
Didn't he complain yesterday about what we did?
Well, he's spoken before about we've dropped too deep in the second half. And I think a lot of people that you see them on Twitter, the sort of tacticos and all this, basically people with a couple of GCSEs and no history in football whatsoever, who think they know football because they play Football Manager.
With a thesaurus out next to him.
With a little thesaurus out.
ChatGPT.
But essentially, and I do think there is some truth to one of the reasons United, and Casemiro's been dribbled past 2.9 times this season per game.
Is that the transition stat?
Yeah, up from 2.2. And I think United allowed 72 transitions in the game against Brentford, which is the third most of anyone this season. So that's, sometimes you hear these numbers.
Luton game, sorry.
Sorry, against Luton.
Basketball matches.
You hear these numbers of like, Bruno gave the ball away 17 times, but actually that's pretty average for a player in his position. However, that many transitions from United isn't normal.
No. Especially
for one team who's 6th playing against a team who's 17th. But surely Ten Hag doesn't. And what they say is that big gap in the middle between the defence, the deeper line that Ten Hag has sort of spoken out against, sitting too deep, and our press up top is leaving this massive gap in midfield that obviously Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro can't cover themselves. What you need is that gap to be closed, whether that's the Jose style, which is bring your attack back, or the sort of the Pep and Klopp style, which is bring your defence up. Surely Ten Hag sees that. You can't press with a 30-yard gap between your centre-backs and your strikers. Or 50-yard
I think the way we're playing has got to be the way he wants us to play.
Do you think?
I think United, with the players that we have compared to the players that Luton have got, you surely can't... If we have 40% possession against a Luton side, with the players that we've got in comparison to them, as I've just said, that has to be a ploy. It has to be a plan. Because there's no way that they should be better at keeping the ball and controlling the game more than we did. And I feel like a lot of the chances that we got was on transitions when we broke onto him. We burst through the middle. We've played him behind and attacked quickly. And that might just be the better way that our team plays in terms of style and the personnel that we've got. But it is just the worry, as we've said, can that be successful long term playing this way where it's almost like you're leaving too much things to chance because you're allowing your defence to come under too much pressure at times. Your keeper's having to save 4, 5, 6 shots a game. And you know what football can be like, because you've seen even City lose games where they've controlled majority of the game and it only takes one shot for you to concede one.
Well, just by contrast, just look then at Arsenal, City and Liverpool's possession stats at Kenilworth Road this season. All the games were close. Arsenal won 4-3. Liverpool obviously drew their 1-1. And it was only a last-second equaliser by Diaz that even gave him a point. But Liverpool had 74% possession. Arsenal had 67, and City had 66. So it's not like...
How much did Tottenham
have? I'll double-check in a second. But it's not as though it's impossible to hold possession there.
Yeah.
But... do you think... I know we can't just be like, if we ain't got Frankie de Jong, we can't keep the ball, because that's, ludicrous. But in the way that every game that Rodri's not played this season, City have lost 4 in the league. Do you think that it's a personnel thing to a certain extent? Because Casemiro has never been a ball-holding defensive midfielder, has he? He's a ball winner. He's got a decent passing range, but he's not a quick, bring it back, turn around the corner, get it again, back to the centre. But he's not a Modric or a De Jong or a Rodri. Do you think that if we change the people who are in there, we'll see something different?
That will help, because I think the only people on the team that are that type of play style that you've described are probably Martinez, Shaw, maybe Ericsson and Kobbie Mainoo. Everyone else on the team pretty much treats the football like a bomb a little bit, where everything's like vertical. It's not necessarily in a completely negative way, but the rest of the players are very like going forward quickly, springing forward.
It's frustrating to watch that as well. I know sort of defending it a little bit, but I get it. Like yesterday, I know we were talking about this upstairs. Like there's times when you just need a little bit more composure, patience, and I hate to use this word, but I'll use it, intelligence. Yeah. Like some of the times we gave the ball away was just insane. I get it if you're trying to make things happen and you're trying to take a chance. And I want to see United taking risks and taking chances and trying to play players in or trying to move the ball forward and trying to be aggressive or whatever. But there's times when you think, just keep possession. Just don't take that risk. You don't need to. And yet we just seem to have this default setting, if you're saying it, like treating the ball like a bomb.
Yeah.
Even in the 94th minute, we were doing it. And I'm like, we're winning. We've got to just keep hold of the ball. And it's like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try. Well, why are you doing that?
Because the way that we do play is because it's similar to because I feel like we were a bit transitional under Ollie.
Yeah.
I think United historically has always been a team that's been quite like vertical and attacking in that instance. But just the way football is now, we spoke about it ages for a while on podcasts. It's gone so like systematic. It's gone so tactical. Everything's so particular that way you can't almost win at the top level that way anymore. Maybe you can get away with it in a cup competition, but over the course of a league campaign, you can't leave that much to chance. You can't leave that much variance in games where you'll have 25 shots, the other team will have at least 15, and it's as if I've got a better finisher than you. Because it's like Højlund, as we described, Højlund's got 7 in the last 6, but his shot conversion's being ridiculous, and that would tell you that might not be sustainable either. So then what? And he's been the difference maker. In this 5-win streak for the fact that we've won the games.
It is a bit like going to a casino, innit, where their 51% chance across 10,000 people and 100,000 bets wins them more money than they lose. But if you look on a bet-by-bet basis, you can have a day where you come out on top. That's what United do. We've probably got a 51% chance of winning because our strikers are slightly better than yours. But on any given day, we might lose that game, as it has done this season, where there was a point where we'd lost 50% of our games, like a casino, because we're allowing their players
for a while,
to have a go at us as much as we have a go at them. And you think that's not sustainable. Across the season, you'll win more than you lose, but you need to be winning 70% of your games if you want to be a top team. Tottenham, just to finish that stuff, had 67% possession, and they'd had Basuma sent off in the 45th minute. However, if you do look at that, Luton also had 12 shots to Tottenham's 15 and 2 on target to Tottenham's 4, so it wasn't a complete shutout. But in terms of holding the ball, one thing I do want to look at as well, though, in contrast to what we've been saying, because actually, in the last 10 seasons, Tottenham have finished in the top 4 5 times. So it's sort of a, will they, won't they type thing. Tottenham are currently currently 5th, 3 points ahead of Manchester United, 2 points behind Villa in 4th. Tottenham are being praised this season, and some of the stuff they've played is excellent, and they've clearly improved from last season. But we are 25 games into the league, and once again you are seeing Tottenham doing what they are seemingly are always doing 25 games into the Premier League season, which is fighting for top 4. Yeah. Like, it's a top 4 fight. Will they finish 4th? Will they finish 5th? Will it be 6th? Will it be 3rd? Like, yes, they've got better, but they aren't actually winning more games than they ever did.
And that's the interesting thing, because Tottenham, under Ange, obviously we talked about, they have a distinct style of play, but they also have the same issues in terms of there's a way that they play where you see it's a bit. Some people might call it brave, some people might call it naive, and they do a bit gun ho and a bit like the extra super high line, and teams get a lot of chances against them too. Yeah, and I think it's that, and that was the case throughout the first 15 games.
Because you saw it, you talk about sometimes it worked, sometimes it wasn't, like 50-50. We saw games with Brighton with them where they get that late winner, and then a week later it's Wolves at home. Or Wolves, it was at home, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and they don't get a winner. They don't, like, it can go either way almost. You feel like it's
Tottenham
like
Tottenham have a very similar thing to United going on, where it's like they will win games and because of talent, and there's a lot of excitement, and sometimes so there's certain things that they do at times, but because there's this lack of defensive stability to it, and in that sense, it always feels like you can just get beat by anyone from week to week, and you're not quite sure.
I think the reason I'm bringing that
up, and that's the reason why we're top. That's why why we're fighting for top 4, and the likes of Arsenal and City are at the top because of that difference.
The reason I brought that up is because Ange and Tottenham were being used as almost a sort of look at what you can do. Look how great they are. Look at how their systems work.
How much you feel that, Joe, is Postecoglou's personality, though? Because if you look at in terms of the media, because if you look at Postecoglou, the media love him. Yeah. He's in his press conference, he's entertaining, he's pretty down to earth, calls people mate, he'll give you an opinion on anything. Yeah. He's asked about blue cards, he gives you a soundbite. He's got a little bit about him. Ten Hag, for as much as I like to like Ten Hag and I want him to stay, he's quite. Me and Steve were talking about this thing on the Breed of Week with James Jackson. He's a little bit like a school teacher, quite methodical, almost. I don't want to say boring. I think that's harsh, but he's not very charismatic in some of his press conferences. He comes across as quite sort of succinct in his answers, very analytical, but not too sort of.
Someone says
vocal.
stoic in the comments as well.
He isn't like that sort of chatty, relaxed guy. And I think the press conference I enjoyed the most of him was where he was angry and he came out fighting. You know, when he was up against it and he sort of came out after the Sancho thing and he was like, he had a bit of fire in his belly. But I don't know whether that sometimes goes against Ten Hag.
It's a few different reasons. Yeah. It's down to the fact that obviously Tottenham United held to different standards, both clubs. And also, when Andrew's first come in, he's won... Did he win the first 10 games?
Something like that.
He did a bit of a Solskjaer.
Yeah, but that's actually what he did. So he had a fucking new manager bounce and everyone was acting as though...
So exactly. So he gets the... And then if he had the recent form that he had towards the start, I feel like the opinion would be very different. But because obviously he was put on such a high because of how great they did look pretty great, how great they looked to start the season, I think people are still kind of holding on to that. Even
losing Kane went for him as well, didn't it? Because it's like, you've lost Harry Kane and you're doing this.
Still doing this.
You're amazing.
Yeah. But Solskjaer did this with United halfway through a season. Didn't get a pre-season. Came in and won, 10 of the first 12 games. Like, I'm not saying that Postecoglou is a bad manager or that Tottenham are shocking. Obviously, they're above us in the league. But United have had one of our worst seasons, if not our worst season in Premier League history. And Tottenham were being spoken about after 10 games as literally the shiny example of what a new manager should be and what Ten Hag isn't. Do you remember? It was like, how come they've got a style of play and we aren't? Well, yeah, your style of play, you're 3 points ahead of us and we've had our worst ever season. So it's a great style of play, but also I feel like everything's so reactionary. The thing is, obviously, I don't really care what Tottenham do. I just think a little, like, fucking come on. We said this at the start of the season and now it's sort of proven itself to be true. But the thing with United that worries me is that interview that Ten Hag did about his style of play when he came to United, and it runs through my head. Yeah, on it almost
that's stuck in it. The one where he says he can't play that way.
Yeah. That did seem a slightly odd thing to say, and I don't quite know why he said that and who he thought that would get on board or help.
Yeah,
because it didn't really help him, and it didn't really get the fans going, well, fair play to the guy.
Just as a reminder what he said. Sorry to
no, please do.
Just as a reminder what he said. So this was in November last year, so 3-4 months ago.
So we're in trouble already here, aren't we? November, the wheels were coming off.
So he was asked, why can't you play like you did with Ajax? Why, high possession, high pressing, like I said, 98 goals scored, 19 conceded, which is stunning. Again, it's a different league, different standards, but he got to the semi-final of the Champions League, something Man United haven't done in 15 years, almost.
2011 was the last time, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it's not, I'd fucking take it. Like, if he's getting that team there, I'd be up for a semi-final of the Champions League as well.
Would you take that, Jay?
What, a semi-final in the Champions League? Bro, I'd take a semi-final of the Europa League.
How many times have we...
No, but because you said you wouldn't take...
The next season, if you're offering me next season a semi-final in the Champions League, I'll take that.
Of course.
I'd take that.
But he said, in response to that, I can't play like Ajax because I have different players. Understand that. He says, I came here with my philosophy based on possession, but I wanted to combine it with the DNA of Manchester United, their players and their characteristics. That's what worries me. The second part of that. One thing is, I can't do exactly the same because I ain't got the same players. Fine, that makes sense. But this thing of, I've got my philosophy based on possession, but I've sort of tweaked it to the DNA of Man United, which, who's the one telling you what the DNA of Man United is? John Murta. Like, that worries me. But also, not only are you changing things from what we hired, you're also doing something you've never done before. Like, that scares me. He's starting this new system at Manchester United. He said, last year we saw what that was. We played very good football. This season the philosophy is not different. Only I want to emphasise more on going direct. And this leads on to the next bit, which you mentioned before. We are so direct that when I watch us, I almost feel like the only time we're actually dangerous is when the opposition has the ball.
Yeah.
If the opposition go, right, shit, they've got the ball, United have got the ball, let's just sort of sit off them and let them break us down. We can't.
There's no way you can convince me that you came into the season wanting to play more possession-based if your midfield signing for a number 8 position was Mason Mount, because Mason Mount's not that player either. Mason Mount's very much of the kind of like a half-spaced kind of attacking 10 that can play wide. He's not really a drop in to the number 8 like we were seeing from Mainey, where he can help you connect between the lines. I think what we're seeing, we've said no style of play. I think there actually is in a sense of it being this vertical kind of direct style. Because I think what we did yesterday at Luton, having them have all the ball and us countering because we felt like we've got better players than them and be on a transition. I think that was deliberate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that can work obviously in the micro in one game where you win. But it's just the talk of, as people have been speaking about since yesterday, is if can this style of play where it is you have a goal, we'll have a goal, you have a goal, and may the best team win.
Yeah.
Can that work?
Just on that, Ronnie. Well, both of you.
Yeah.
You're going to say that was our approach yesterday deliberately at Luton. Did it not work to the sense that we should have scored a lot more goals than we did? We had two clear-cut chances that were poor finishes from Bruno and from Garnacho, in my opinion. So did it not kind of work, or do you think it's just long-term you can't keep doing that? Is that more your issue, or you don't think it?
It's just about can we become better in terms of keeping hold of it, stopping it. It's not even. I feel like it's not even just as an in possession thing. It's can we be better out of possession in terms of stopping other teams having so many shots against us and having so many opportunities against us.
Is like very brilliant.
The fact that we're averaging over 20 shots conceded per game for the last 3 games. Yes, we've only conceded 2 goals in those games, but it is almost like we can't get the ball off teams. The way that we get the ball back is by them shooting.
It's our pressing. It's because
like what?
Our
How's
pressing.
that a thing?
It's our pressing structure is not that great either, and that's obviously. Rashford's got a lot of flack for this because Rashford's not great out of possession. I thought he worked harder than he has in recent weeks. Yesterday,
there's that little clip doing the
but
rounds.
the little clip, but yeah,
yesterday, but in the second half, you did all right.
Yeah,
and I thought he's just been getting hammered.
I personally thought it was all right yesterday.
Yeah.
But and then you've got that little clip of him doing the jog, but it was like 95th minute when everyone was behind the ball already. So it's hard to do it if you've not got everyone on board. But there's always these massive gaps and massive spaces, and then we've seen like Casemiro struggle this season, and it's not solely down to Casemiro having like this mad physical decline. I don't think it's just down to that. I've also think it's the way the team is set up. He's left isolated so often defensively on his own, having to cover so much space, and he's not capable of doing it.
But
that's the reason why there is, but it's only the best, like the likes of a Rice and a Rodri.
Yeah.
And even that's not exactly Rodri's game that he completely excels at, because he doesn't really play. He isn't because of the way that Pep sets up the team. Rodri actually isn't isolated that often ever. No. Because he literally plays the centre half next to him, inverting, whether it be a Kanji or Stones. Do you know what I mean? So he has some sort of like structure there. But I think only Arsenal may do it with Rice, and sometimes I don't know, Liverpool slightly do it with Endo, but they're a little bit more. Yeah, you've got the likes of Van Dijk, etc. behind him, and a Kanate, which they can defend large spaces,
and they can defend running toward their own goal
very well. Yeah. So so personnel can be a factor.
Just a few more quotes from this that I think is worth going into, and obviously this is an interview from end of November, but like I said, it sort of plays in my mind when I'm watching United over and over again. He said, I explained in pre-season in the USA how we want to play, how we want to press. We want to press from different blocks and then go direct. I see that. I do see that out of United. I do see this directness. But it's almost like all we've got is directness. It's like when we're in a situation in a game where we're 2 goals up, perfect example yesterday, we're 2 goals up, the thing we need now isn't to only be able to create chances by winning the ball back and going direct. We need to be able to hold the ball and build up from the back and actually create chances slowly and methodically, and not just create chances but stop the opposition from creating chances by holding the ball. And it doesn't feel like we do that. That's my worry, is that what do we do? Yeah, you go direct, you win, you get the ball back, you score a goal. The first goal, perfect. It was pressing high, mistake from their player, goal, perfect. Now what? You're 2 goals up now. What do you do now? And keep going direct, keep trying to win the ball back.
Exactly, it's game management. And the argument against possession, because I know a lot of people say it, and a lot of people just look at it simply saying, obviously possession doesn't win you games, it's goals win you games, which is true, but possession still is 9/10 of the law. And if you've got the ball for majority of the time, how can the other team score? That's just basically it. If Luton have possession for 60% of the time, they've obviously got more opportunities to hurt you.
Yeah.
As you've seen it with City over the years, I know it can be mind-numbing to watch City, and it can be so boring, and when they have this 75%, 80% possession, but half the time, when they've had these seasons of being really good defensively in terms of statistically of not conceding many goals, most of the reason for that isn't because they've actually that amazing. their defenders are naturally as good as someone that's playing fucking Everton and Burnley, where they're defending all the time and they're having to do lots of last-ditch clearances, interceptions, they've got to do box defending all the time. Defenders at City and stuff usually don't have to do that. And the reason why they don't concede many goals and they win so many games is because they keep the ball so well and they control games so much that they very rarely attacked against.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what people are pointing towards in terms of United, and whether we can kind of mixture what we are in terms of some of the players, because I think some of that verticality and that transition, that is still a lethal trait to have as a team. Don't get me wrong.
We need that.
You do need that with the players like Garnacho and Rashford and Højlund. But you need to marry it a little bit with a bit of a control aspect where when you go up 2-0 in 7 minutes against Luton,
now what?
Put your foot on the ball, keep it.
Yeah.
Not just continue doing the same way and then you let them in the game, because 2-1, 2-0, they say it's a cliche, it's a dangerous scoreline.
Yeah.
Especially at Kenilworth Road where they'll score one and then the crowd's up again, and then it feels like it's downhill from there. When you go up 2-0 against Luton, Man United, you should be basically closing the deal with making it almost, we put the foot on it, we don't need to be as vertical, let's keep it. And when they kind of almost blow a casket trying to chase us, we'll score 3, 4, 5.
It's the same thing at Wolves. It was the same thing there. That we were comfortable and then we let them back in the game. Do you want to go into some of the comments? Because I know a few people in the chat.
And also, we'll get on to Ashworth in a couple of minutes as well. I know Romano's been tweeting about it, but there's been some updates there. Abhinav Verma says, lads, do you think the fact that we defended near the Domino's pizza stand in the first half is why Luke Shaw was so poor? That's harsh.
That's harsh.
Do you know that order now to get your pizza for half time? We went off at half time. FPL Mickle.
Shit. Hey, that's worse than a COD one, that.
FPL Mickle says, a key point you are missing is that we need players back for longer period for them to be drilled properly and get back into shape. It's not easy. You did say that,
that's what I was saying. Like,
having Luke Shaw and Martinez for 4 games.
Yeah. And like even in those during those games, you know, like sometimes he's not fully fit or he's getting back into it. Then he goes off, like against obviously West Ham. Martinez went off after an hour, or whatever it was. Yep. Luke Shaw's been subbed twice in the last 2 games. I just feel like I'm sort of with Ronnie a lot, because I've sat and watched these games and it's been a hard watch, and it's not something where I go, it's completely excusable. But I do feel there are mitigating circumstances.
May Amateur says, I think Ronnie hit the nail. The way we play, brackets, basketball style, is not sustainable. Lack of proper midfield with Bruno playing as a second striker will always leave the CDM exposed. We get run over. Vito's been a member for 37 months. Thank you very much.
Vito.
Said, Pep ruined the game, having everyone playing this possession nonsense. Now Ten Hag is bringing the open run and gun from the NBA to football.
Run and gun's a good term.
It is very run and gun. Yeah. But the problem is, it wasn't just Pep who did this, but with Pep came the expectancy of you get 90 points and you don't win the league.
Yeah.
That had never been a thing before.
What was it? The Scousers did 97 points and he finished second. That's ridiculous.
It's the 3rd highest points total in the history of the Premier League and they didn't win.
That's unbelievable. I don't think United have ever got 97 points.
91 is the most we've got, I think.
and we've won 13 Premier League titles.
Liverpool that did beat him in that period was, I feel like, even though it was a COVID season, which probably the reason why they won it.
Yeah, it didn't count.
Yeah, so they don't really count like that.
Asterix.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they were one of the only teams during that clock period where like they kind of had the combination of being they could control games and hold it, but they were very like electric and run and gun.
Maybe that's
at
what
the same
Ten Hag
time.
wants. Maybe maybe football isn't just a task of getting as close to Pepology as possible. Like, people like to paint modern football as whoever gets the closest to what Pep's doing is the best. And maybe you can have this combination where it is a bit more, Liverpool winning the ball quickly, getting the ball in the box quickly. Gegenpress stuff. Maybe that's okay as well. But the idea of letting the opposition have 20 shots a game, no one is winning the league, certainly not the Premier League, by doing that. That's just a fact. Tommy McCartney says it does feel our counter-attacking style is largely dictated by Bruno, Rashford and Garnacho. It feels like our best games come against high lines. I do think that's true. I mean, look at Villa, both games.
You can quote me, you can claim on this. That's one of the main reasons why we play Arsenal at home on the second to last game of the season. And I think we're going to have stuff to say in the title race.
Shit.
The stuff we've got to say in that title race is we play the Rezzies against Arsenal.
We probably won't.
The under-15's got a game today. Well, I've got a game for them at Old Trafford.
Put Arsenal colours on the Premier League and bring it to Old Trafford.
I literally think there's 2 teams in the league that are supposed at this moment fallen giants that have had poor seasons, but I think they're the 2 worst teams for Arsenal to play against. I think that
United
I
and
think
Chelsea.
United and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Where United and Chelsea, because when you watch, you know the way Arsenal play, and they can be quite, they can be quite left exposed defensively, but they've got Saliba and Gabriel and like almost physical monsters and almost like swallow attackers. And sometimes I think when they play against the likes of United and Chelsea, who are both better when we're transitioning, because I said that, look at Chelsea's results against the big teams this season.
Decent.
They're great because they've got the likes of Sterling, Mudryk and Jackson, and that are all better, and they've got enough quality to kind of bypass like a quick gegenpress. But once they get past you, they've got quality in them spaces. That's why I think that Chelsea almost beat Arsenal. We lost 3-1 to them, but it wasn't a 3-1 loss kind of game. It was 1-1 going into stoppage time. Garnacho scored and they wrongly disallowed it. And then we also should have got a penalty as well.
100%.
And in my opinion, I think it's just funny that I think United and Chelsea are the ones that kind of get a lot of the slack for being top teams that are not played great. But I think they're two teams that are end up going to take in points off Arsenal before the end of the season.
It's going to be. I never thought I'd say that. It's going to be horrible watching us beat Arsenal.
I know.
I'll enjoy it, and I'll enjoy it for the 90 minutes, and then when I look at the table, I'll start crying.
Yeah, we've got our head in our hands after the game.
Yeah, because we've just gifted Liverpool or City. Well, Liverpool I think would be the worst one, but either of them would be pretty bad.
Who's your Wally of the week, Ronaldo? Every week you come on and you
Did you give up the Dan Ashworth thing?
Sorry.
I remember you said there's an update.
Yeah, so Romano's confirmed that, and Newcastle, have confirmed that he's not a bigger source than the club themselves, that Dan Ashworth has now commenced a period of gardening leave. Newcastle CEO Darren Eales, which is just an electric name, says, our exciting journey doesn't stop and the process to recruit a new director will begin immediately. Ashworth has agreed to join United. Talks on compensation. Rumoured that they want around 15 million quid for him, which I think would be, if it was United losing him, would be our 4th biggest sale of all time. So how are we spending more on sporting directors than we've sold players in the last 5 years? I don't know. But James Ducker from The Telegraph as well, sort of confirming United make formal approach, and it looks like around 250 jobs are likely to be at risk under Ratcliffe's plans to streamline operations at Old Trafford. So just a couple of bits there. But Ashworth, we sort of knew it was coming. It's just now when he's actually coming in, gardening leave and all that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I hadn't heard of him a little while ago, but when I did hear of him and I looked into it, you can't fail but to be impressed with his CV, what he's achieved, where he's been. Obviously, Ineos rate him and they wanted him. I don't really want to see us get our pants pulled down for, a sporting director or whatever, but the main thing is just get him in, man. If he's the guy, get him in. Get him working with Brailsford and Jean-Claude Blanc, whoever it's going to be, and Omar Barada, the other kid. Get them all working together and let's get this club moving forward.
Yeah.
Go on, talk to me.
I'm on the fence about it.
Why?
It's not like you're never on the fence about anything in any way, shape or form.
No, I'm not really. It was just the garden. It's garden league.
All right.
That's nice. That's really good.
Sorry, I didn't get that one. I thought you were actually going to be on the fence there for the first time since I've met you.
Yeah. Usually, you know what, Joe, we do this all the time. Joe's usually so sharp in getting those.
Well,
but I think that one, there's too much separation between
that was the issue.
Yeah.
Go on then, Ronnie. Use your volley of the week.
That ref yesterday.
Oh, mate.
That ref yesterday for
my one. I might have to go with you, Ronnie.
Because when I saw you tweet, when I was watching that game, I'm glad I wasn't in it. I was so annoyed.
Mate, I lost my head with that.
Because you know what's annoying about that Manu tackle? It was like perfectly fine no matter whatever it is.
Brilliant tackle.
But then to give it yellow, he needs punishing for that. And you know what? And it might seem fine now because he didn't get sent off and we've won the game. But every booking over the course of the season can be important, especially when you take into account the accumulation of bookings, or whether when a midfielder gets booked in any stage of the game, it means that they've got to be tentative for the rest of the game and stuff like that. And what if later in the game, Manu needs to make another, to go all out and make another last, just a legit tackle. What if we're 2-1 up and a midfielder's breaking ahead of him, and he has to dive in to make an absolute last-hit tackle, and he just mistimes it, gets a second yellow, gets sent off because he's been booked for that in the first place. I thought that was a shocking decision, and I feel like referees need to be started to be held accountable for decisions like that, surely.
Yeah, I agree. On the back of that, I'm going to go with a commentator on Match of the Day too, because he did my fucking head in. I don't know what he was on about. He watched that in slow motion and went, well, that's why you get a yellow card, that's a booking, you can't make challenges like that in that angle. What are you on about? What are you actually saying?
Acting like it's a Mason Allgate or
I
something.
know. Like, shut up. It was a perfectly good tackle. It was never a foul or a yellow card. You've watched it, obviously watched it several times, and come to the conclusion that that was a foul.
Yeah.
At least I can give the referee the one thing I say, he's seen it once.
Isn't it mad that
when he's made that decision?
the Holgate tackle and the Mainu tackle were given the same punishment in the moment by the referees? What the fuck?
That just says
That's actually crazy.
That Mainu one is one of the best tackles I've ever seen, and the Holgate one is literally
I can't believe the
one of worst I've ever
referee in
seen.
that Holgate one saw it and thought that's a yellow.
I think he must have thought he got the ball or something.
Then his skipper's gone after the game and said it's
I
not
respect that.
right.
I respect that though. You stick with your guys. My one of the week is Nottingham Forest and Mark Clattenburg. Have you seen this?
Go on.
Forest have hired Mark Clattenburg on a sort of consultancy basis to be their like refereeing consultant / VAR expert, basically because they've had a few bad decisions this season. So they've brought him in. Doesn't exactly say what, but basically to be like how we can not get weird fouls against us, and also I think it's just someone who they can whinge to. I don't understand it at all. What is Mark Clattenburg doing, being basically a professional grass, having to go at all the refs?
Yeah.
And also, what are Forest doing? Like, if
And
we hire
he'll get paid decently for that as well, innit?
What is he even doing? What can the job be?
That job
Let
role.
me read you like what it says. So this is from the Daily Mail. Forest appoint ex-Premier League ref Mark Clattenburg as their referees analyst, as Nuno Espirito Santo's side seek to improve their understanding of decisions. Honestly, money for all rope that in it for clatters. Absolute clatters that. That's unbelievable. I mean, fair enough, I suppose.
If I was Dermot Gallagher, I'd be worried, man. He's
Yeah.
coming for your job, him.
It's unbelievable.
What is it Gladiators he does as well?
He does Gladiators.
He don't mind
yes.
him, does he? He'll do anything, him.
Yeah, if the cash is right, clatters
Do
is
you know
there.
what I mean? 50 quid will come to your barbecue.
Yeah, it's
Don't
just
worry
the
about
tip
that.
of the Clattenburg, isn't it? That job. That's not a bad job.
I don't know.
It's not fucking bad, is it?
I don't know.
Tip of the iceberg.
I get the joke. You don't need to
Right.
explain it to
Well,
me.
I just thought I might because you didn't laugh that much.
Right.
Pause. Yeah.
It's not one of your better works. Can I say that? It's not your best work.
It's not the best work. It's not. It would have been your best work if you'd have said.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd have been dining out on that for,
Do you know
for
what I mean?
months.
Touchy.
Yeah, I know.
MDR and Samurai says, "Cut your hair, Joe." Fuck off. Nah, wrap this up.
That poor
Wrap this
joke's
up.
got right in his
Wrap
head.
this up, I'm out.
He's had
No,
it
he
right in
He
the
said,
blood.
cut your hair, Jay. You've misread it.
Wrap this up.
Right, on that bombshell, we're going to leave it there.
Wrap up the tip of the iceberg.
2 in a row. I've been done there. 2 in a row. Go on.
That's been Ronaldo Brown. Ronaldo, where can people find you?
Ronaldo Brown _98 on the X. I was gonna say it doesn't hit the same.
It doesn't hit the bird out. Just say the bird out, man. You can say what you want.
Doesn't hit the same.
Elon's not going to sue you. Joe, where can people find you?
It says, "Love you, Joe. Love you too." Just to hear.
You can find him on Sloppy Joe's. He's on there with Joe McGrath, who's hilarious, and Ethan's really funny as well. So you can go and check them two out. And
So
Joe,
am I.
sorry. Yeah, there's
Thanks.
3 of them on there. Go and check that out. Make sure as well, if you're not doing already, you are hitting like, share, and subscribing to this channel. We want to get to 750 subscribers by the end of the season. With your support, we can get there. That's been Joe Smith. That's been Ronaldo Brown. I've been Jay. This has been Paddock Podcast. Thanks for watching.